Because it feels like I should be able to do anything I want.
Yeah. Mr. Lewis, you're looking rather dapper.
Why, thank you.
Caught you off guard. Just in green both places.
Yeah. Well, I had to clean that up, Steve.
Well, a dapper you had to clean up?
Well, yeah, you know,
What were you gonna say?
well, I can't do that. It's being recorded.
Recorded and
Pass my ass off the
transcribed.
globe if I say that.
Commissioner Smith, this is Caleb. Can you say something? I can barely hear Commissioner Lewis.
Sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
That's okay. It's pretty faint though. Let's see if we can turn it up a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah.
In that little workstation next to Ryan, there's the volume switch that I usually try to move. And Ryan's not listening to me.
That's better.
Testing.
Yep. Everyone good? Here, Commissioner Lewis, okay? Commissioner Smith, one more time, please.
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yes, real good. Thank you.
Good to go? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the January 5, 2026 meeting of the Meridian, Idaho Transportation Commission. We'll start with the roll call and Mr. Ballard.
Present.
Shoemaker is traveling, said he would come by Zoom if he had to, but we think we've got a quorum otherwise. Mr. Lancaster.
Present.
I am present. Tracy Hopkins.
Present.
Stephen Lewis.
Here.
Jared Smith.
Here.
Tom LeClaire. Tom may be in late. He said he would be here. Advic Mansell. Ex officios, Mr. Bruner.
Here.
Austin Miller.
Here.
Miranda Carson.
Here.
Kate Dahl.
Here.
Justin Price. Sergeant Carter.
Here.
Tricia Murray.
Here.
Tricia. I see you. Did I hear you?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, ma'am. I mispronounced your first name, and I do that a lot. Brian McClure and Caleb Hood are present and making this whole thing work. The first item is the adoption of the agenda. Does staff have any changes?
Mr. Chair, no changes that I'm aware of. I will, just for the record, let you know, Mr. Price is online, but he didn't want to be promoted to a panelist. So I think he's tracking it, but he's logged in.
Okay,
He's on Zoom.
you can explain that to me later. Commissioners have any change in the agenda? I would like to make one. I'd like to move item 4, the election of officers, up to item 2. And then follow that with the current item 2 and 3 and so forth. Anyone have a problem with that? Hearing none, it will be changed in order to move item 4 up to after item 1. Okay, item 1 is the adoption of the minutes of December the 1st. Commissioners, any comments, changes, additions, or a motion?
I'll move to approve.
A motion to approve from Mr. Ballard. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lancaster seconds. Discussion?
I think Mr. Lewis got it.
I thought I saw you first. Doesn't matter. Somebody pick one. All in
Pick me,
favor,
pick
please.
me, pick me.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It's a new year, folks. It's a new year. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 1, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? They are adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I see that Mr. Bonzel has joined us.
He has. Welcome. You and I haven't met. If you have a moment after this meeting, I'd like to speak to you for a second, just to say hello. Okay, thank you. Next item will be the election of officers for 2026. Our legal counsel informs me that the bylaws change that we went through was adopted in December by the city council. That means that Tom Leclerc, who just arrived, make an entrance, Tom, will be automatically nominated for chair of this commission. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I nominate Walter Steed for chair.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to that the two nominations for chair are Mr. Leclerc and Mr. Steed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. We have two nominees. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 I presume we can, I'm trying to think if I've ever even done this before. If we just do a vote, all four, and do it that way? Okay. Any comments? Mr. Leclerc?
No.
Okay. All in favor of Tom Leclerc for chair, please say aye.
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 I heard two, is that correct?
Two.
Okay, and all for Walter Steed, please say aye.
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 I heard whatever the balance is, four, I believe.
Did you vote, Mr. Steed?
I did not vote. I tend not to vote here if I can stay out of it. Still, it's 4-2, Walter to Tom, and I will thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we now move on to the former item number 2, information
Chair.
staff.
Mr. Chair,
Projects. Yes,
We need to elect a vice chair as
Sure.
well.
you're correct. Thank you very much. We'll do it the same way. We'll take nominations for vice chair.
Nominate Mr. Leclerc for vice chair.
Fair enough. Do we have another nomination for vice chair? We have one nomination for vice chair. Accept the nomination.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor of Mr. Leclerc for vice chair, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pay remains the same. As always.
Didn't even have to promise free bus rides.
Well, he didn't promise you.
Oh,
Mr.
point.
Chair, this is a meeting that I tried to make sure I got to, so I didn't accidentally get elected.
We could very well we could have very well run this under Rotary Club rules.
Yeah.
The guy that isn't there is the guy that gets to be next year's president.
Been there, done that.
Good point. Brian McClure, Staff Transportation Project Tracking. And if you will allow me, Mr. McClure, and we know, I realize you weren't supposed to be here today, but for some reason you couldn't stay away. We appreciate that. I personally don't like the new format. Now, with that being said, I understand why it was done. But I'd like to make a suggestion that to help us understand what's going on with these projects, if staff, you, I guess, could merely take them and point out any changes in any of them that are worth commenting on in a walkthrough manner. I'm not saying every one of them. Don't have to read one out and say nothing's really happened, but ones that you think are, that rise to the level of cream, to bring them up to us, because I don't know if anybody else will admit it, but I don't really want to read all this every month.
Second that.
Can we edge that way? I didn't warn you I was going to do this. I'm sorry. I thought about it driving over here.
Chairman Steed, I haven't thought this through, so it's off the cuff. One of the projects that I didn't actually update in the list is probably the only one I would say is worth mentioning. Eagle Road, Amity to Lake Hazel is sort of open. That's a welcome change for those of us in South Meridian. I think ACHD's had some weather problems. It's sort of in chaos out there, but they have one lane open all the way down between Amity and Lake Hazel. You can also get into the subdivisions off of Taconic now. The roundabout is also not fully open, but it is functioning. So it's been a welcome change in South Meridian. I don't think I made any other changes to projects in here that would rise to the top. Sorry, I'll try to be prepared for that next time. I understand why you don't want to read all these. I don't want to read all of them either. I don't. Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions and I'll come better prepared next time, but I don't have anything else to really bring up right now. I don't know if Caleb does.
So, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
So, and Brian, again, I apologize. I hate to ask staff questions in any of these meetings when I haven't warned them I'm going to do it, but I literally thought of it on the ride over here. Mr. McClure.
So, Mr. Chair, it's Mr. Hood. I was actually going to just add a little bit. So, because I updated about half the other projects in here. And I think what I can do in that the database we've been talking about over the last 3 or 4 months since we kind of went to this, it's changed even since we initially, formatted this. What I can do is I can bold the updates that I think are the cream. And then that should carry over into the memo. So anything that's not just kind of a status update, but something that's an important update. And then we can even highlight it verbally for the commission here. I think that would help. Because yeah, about half the projects or more that I updated really were pretty administrative updates. Some of them were, hey, this is a major milestone, should be highlighted, called to your attention type of thing. So going forward, I think that's what I will propose is I think I can modify the text when I update it in the Excel spreadsheet to bold it. And then that should, oh, Brian says I can't bold. I'll figure out some way to call it to your attention in the memo itself, and then again verbally highlight it for you all during this time for future meetings.
I think we would all appreciate that. I'm not criticizing the change, but I'm certainly complaining if there's a difference. One other project that I am aware of, because I've driven it twice today already, is the U-stick between 10 Mile and Black Cat appears to also be slowed down by rain. They're trying to get the south side of the U-stick Black Cat intersection curbed and paved, but they've probably been a week longer than they would have been had the rain not come when it did. And down at the opposite end near the Maverick at 10 Mile and U-stick, they're wrestling to get that large canal piping done. They've got both wing walls in and attempting to backfill with mud as best they can. Meanwhile, tracking up all the new black. But they're fighting the good fight. Anyone else have anything, any questions specific?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
To continue on Ustick, I wanted to ask about Linder to 10 Mile. You alluded to that some, but I guess I'm looking for more information on that one too. So as and this shows up in the staff communications later. So as I understand it, that's a full closure of Ustick. that's expected to last about a year. Is that right? Or what information can be shared about that project?
Mr. Bruner? Is that yours to talk about? Would you like to throw it to one of those two people to your left?
One of these two to my left probably have a little bit more knowledge than I do. That's not my project, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lancaster, on page 13, I did provide a little bit of an update about a third of the way down the project. And I tried to, 12/30/2025 is that update. So that's the information the most current information that I have. That was just last week. I don't remember. I went to the pre-con on this one. I don't know if the full closure is going to go through spring of 26, but it is closed a good portion up to, again, it says late 2026. So kind of like Eagle Road, I think they may have it open a little sooner, but they want to underpromise and overdeliver. So I think that is what the messaging is at this point. It's a multiple month closure. I can see if I can put a little finer point on that of when they really anticipate to open it back up, but it is going to be closed for several months.
Mr. Chairman,
If I may interrupt to comment on that, the sign at Black Cat and Ustick reads to be completed 12/31/25. So
Well, so Mr. Chair, just to confirm, are we talking about the segment you brought up or the
segment I brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining. Of another week, so what? Just hurry up and get the thing open. The bigger problem, and I'll come back to you, Mr. Lancaster, with 10 Mile to Linder is the effects on Macmillan and Cherry Lane and 10 Mile. When I came here today, there was a full block plus left-hand turn lane going south on 10 Mile, trying to turn east on Cherry Lane. It took 2 light pulls to get it done. I think I can figure out why, because you've got so much traffic coming north up 10 Mile now that's trying to get somewhere. So it's a real challenge for the traffic signal timer people to try to figure out how to balance things. I get it. I mean, it's just, you almost have to get into the mode of, I'm fixing to get in the car and go someplace I went yesterday. This could be fun because I may not be able to get there. It changes constantly. Mr. Lancaster.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess just to follow up on that as well. So is it fully closed because of 5 Mile Creek, that there's a structure that's to be replaced? Is that why it's closed as opposed to other, sections of Ustick that have remained open during construction, during lightning?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Lancaster, I'm not 100% sure. I would speculate though that is the main reason, with the creek being right there. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but yes, I do think a lot of the work that they have going on, with the 5 Mile Creek is a main reason for that. But to just follow that thought through a little bit more, the 5 Mile Creek doesn't run all the way, the whole mile of the segment. So most of that work is closer to the east end of the project.
I haven't driven down there to look, but my belief is it's only fully closed for the length of the creek because it's got local access only from 10 Mile east. And a lot of cars turn in there that are going into those subdivisions on the north and the south.
Okay.
If you go on Bridge Tower, coming south on 10 Mile and turn left on Bridge Tower and go through an intersection we had brought up here,
Yeah.
a T intersection from a school about kids crossing a year and a half ago, they have now made all of those cross streets four-way stops.
Yeah.
And my son-in-law, who's driven it, lives in there, tells me that they've now got speed bumps along Bridge Tower. So apparently that traffic can go all the way through to Ustick and then turn west and come back out. But I think you're right about it's the creek. And I recently heard from someone that my belief they were gonna pipe that creek is not the case.
No.
They're gonna somehow wall it wider. Do you know?
Mr. Chair, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know who the PM is on that project and I can chat with him tomorrow and get a little more detail on what the exact plan is for the closure and what that'll look like. And send
Yeah,
it
if,
out to
if you would like to do that and maybe kick Caleb or Brown an email, if you find anything worth telling, they can pass it on to us rather than wait till next month.
Mr. Chair, I am pretty confident in this. I do know the cross section on that area. There is a new retaining wall going in there. Again, that's why I would speculate they have the road closed there. That's a pretty substantial structure that they have to build there on the north side of the road. And just to kind of finish that thought, the sidewalk is actually detached too and goes more along the creek. So there's a retaining wall and then the waterway, and then there's sidewalks actually on the other side, and then ties back in with the roadway you mentioned, Bridge Tower, north-south, and
Which
then
will-
back down to.
Which will be a traffic signal, I understand.
Yes, they're signalizing that intersection. And there's a ped bridge that actually gets you back to the paralleling the road more directly than the creek, right about at that general location. So there isn't attached sidewalk in that segment. It's a pretty substantial, again, retaining wall that's right there on the north side of that roadway segment. And then it's a more traditional cross section out on the west side of on Ustick, west of Bridge Tower. I'll find out more about the full closure and how long that's supposed to be. And then just to confirm, yeah, I don't know how many interim stop signs they put up at those local intersections, Bridge Tower to the north, and then Turtle Creek and Tumble Creek and some of those other subdivisions to the south. They did the same thing, trying to address the speeding from the cut through, or even just the neighborhood traffic and things like that. So that is a fairly new practice at ACHD, but they've done that over the last couple of projects. Eagle Road being another one where I believe they put in quite a few of those interim stop signs and speed humps during construction.
I understand that the HOA conversation has to do with leave them in after the project. To be determined.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
that is a topic, what Caleb just mentioned is a topic that I saw in the staff communication that I would like to talk about. I can talk about it either now or then, but I guess I would like to further explore that topic.
Well, this will be in staff communications next month. You can certainly bring it up again. And they're going to get you a better answer on 12 months or not in the next week or so. But if that drives further questions, pick it up during this time next month.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's in our staff communications this month.
Right, which is why you brought it up.
Yep. So I'd like to discuss it more when we get there. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. Fun stuff. Mr. McClure, anything else in that? Any other questions, gentlemen? Hearing none, we will move on to the impact fee update. Mr. Hood, since we last met, the ACHD board met and dropped the gavel on a fairly large decision we've been talking about for months, if not years. Would you like to tell us what they did?
Sure, Mr. Chair, thank you. I know we have talked about this topic over the last couple of years, sort of off and on. It was a future meeting topic for quite a few months as the CIC update. So the CIC, one of its roles is to review and make recommendations to the ACHD board on the impact fees and the capital improvements plan, 20-year plan. So on December 3rd, the ACHD Commission did approve the 2025 to 2045 Capital Improvements Plan, or CIP. They also, on that same date, on the 3rd of December, approved a new impact fee ordinance, a fee schedule for impact fees. Those fees are based on the impact fee eligible components of all the projects in the CIP. So they just basically back into that and say how much growth and revenue do we need to support the roadway projects that are needed over the next 20 years. So that's how you come up with your impact fee. Way oversimplification of the math that goes into that, but essentially that's what it is you cover the impact fee eligible costs for all the projects that are listed in the CIP. Part of the conversation we've had as a city and even the Transportation Commission, again, going back to the fall sometime, was 1 versus 2 impact fee zones or collection districts for those. ACHD staff was leaning towards 2 for a while, and the commission even gave some direction to evaluate the CIP and impact fee ordinance with 2 zones. At the end of the day, they approved a single countywide zone, which is what the city of Meridian had requested. During the public hearing on the 3rd, there were about a half dozen people that testified, and all but one, the city of Boise, supported a single countywide highway district. So, and even the city of Boise sort of said, we can live with 1 if we have to. We'd prefer 2, but, and more to come on that, because I think they have some specific projects in mind that are regional in nature that they want to see advanced. But the fee, and we talked about this a little bit too, end of the summer, this fall, for a single family unit in Ada County, the fee currently is about $3,500 for your traffic impact fee. On March 1st, it will go up to $5,800. So from $3,500 to $5,800. So a pretty substantial increase. It's been some time since ACHD did a full update to their CIP, though. They did do a couple of minor updates. They have to, by law, every 4 or 5 years, update the CIP. But they didn't update a lot of their costs and things in 2022, I believe, is the last time that it was updated. So this is the first substantial update and fee change for some time. And again, those will become effective March 1. So I think those were my notes, Mr. Chair, but I know you made some of that sausage with being a member, actually the chair of the Capital Improvement Citizen Advisory Committee. So if I left something out or want to highlight something there, but that's what I wanted to highlight for the commission.
The one thing I would add was that prior to the meeting, the weeks leading up to the meeting, the developer groups, I heard, it was said in an open meeting, were coming out against the single impact fee area. They were wanting the 2. At the meeting, at least 2 representatives of those groups came up and said they now prefer the single, having thought about it and understood it better. So they backed off their 2-over-1 initial feelings. As Mr. McClure said, the city of Boise stayed with their, we want 2. The Meridian letter, I think, had a large impact because I had a feeling that it encouraged other cities to write a letter. We had 2 or 3 more. Kuna, I know, I don't remember Star. I don't think Star did. Eagle may have. Wrote letters in support of the single. So it was a long, drawn out process. I think they learned a lot, and hopefully that means a better way to do this next time around. But it was the first time the impact fees have been really changed in many, many, many years. They've tweaked them a little bit, but they've been single. And before that, there were 6 districts, I believe, which was an accounting nightmare for ACHD. Anyway, any questions?
Mr. Steed,
Yes, sir.
thinking about this question, if I'm an average citizen, what does all of this mean to the average citizen? Because if they're looking and saying, okay, they changed these fees, how does that affect me?
Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong. If you currently own a home or a business living in or operating in Ada County, it doesn't. If you go to build a home or you go to build a business or a commercial property, it does. It will be cranked into what it cost you to build that.
All right. Because part of that conversation is who gets the funds?
The
Did they
fund,
tweak that?
the funds go to ACHD, go to the developers. Who collects them? The developer collects and pays ACHD, or go directly to ACHD?
So, Mr. Chair, depends. The city actually can, and oftentimes does collect impact fees on behalf of ACHD. And then we send them to ACHD monthly or even weekly. I can't remember now. But yeah, it's a fee paid by development. So that's how I would sort of characterize this. It's development's fair share of growth, right? So the impact fees are the impact for new development that occurs. But not all elements of a roadway project are eligible to be paid for by development. So if the road it needs to be repaved, resurfaces, the first 2 lanes basically, maybe a bad example because there was some conversation about if that should be impact fee eligible or not. But there's certain elements of a project that aren't associated with the impact of development. It is just the existing businesses and homeowners that are responsible for whatever that thing is there. It's not the additional growth that is causing the need for that element of the project. So that's why I say the impact fee eligible parts of the project, you don't have to, us as taxpayers today don't have to subsidize that. If growth is paying their fair share or their piece that's eligible and we just pay our normal, if they're not collecting enough in the impact fee, then either you don't do the project or the taxpayers have to pay more and not the developers, if that makes sense.
So that gets to,
The developers pay the fee. They get their money back by raising the prices to the property owner, developer, or the property owner or whoever's building the house or the business. And then the city remits the money to ACHD based upon frontage.
No, Mr. Chair, there's the ITE trip generation manual. So it's a flat fee for single family and multifamily, and it's based on square footage for all other types of businesses. So a drive-through bank has a higher impact fee than a orthodontics clinic because the number of trips they generate and their impact varies, right? So, or a big box grocery store is different than an eye doctor.
Okay, that help at all?
well, yes, because I think it answers part of the question. For years, why isn't development paying for itself? So the question had been if this all development is going in, but yet there's still a shortage and taxpayers are being asked to make up that shortage. Is this an attempt to narrow that gap?
So I will just say, yes, it is. And it's, as the chair pointed out, I don't remember the exact years this came up during the hearing, but they've done some minor, ACHD's done some minor tweaks to this over the last decade or so, but they haven't, hasn't reflected real costs. So their costs of their projects were underestimated and what they're collecting as far as impact fees don't cover that. So they're falling behind with the number of projects they can do because they aren't generating the revenue from development. So this is going to sort of restart that, but we're already behind, right? So it's not, we can't catch up necessarily, but this at least pays their fair share going forward after March 1st.
Thank you.
If that makes sense.
Anyone else? Okay, moving along. The next item is an interesting one that I asked about to be put on the agenda because sometime in the past year, and I didn't keep the date, you had in your packet an ACHD memo that talked about them testing a new travel safety tool at Meridian and Ustick intersection. And it talked about 2 things. I wish they had named one of them something different because it's really hard to keep them straight. One was leading through interval and the other was leading pedestrian interval. And Mr. Bruner, who I sent an email to back on December the 8th saying whatever happened with this, wrote me back. And I called him and talked to him. Thank you for calling me back this morning. He was out sick last week. And I said, I don't get it. He says, well, I'm not really sure I do, but I'll see if I can't find out. So I give myself credit for having furthered his education, and he's going to tell us what he knows.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so, yep, there are, so as Mr. Chair pointed out, these are both versions, essentially versions of the same thing, which is changing how traffic lights and pedestrian crossing signals are timed in order to benefit the safety of the pedestrian. So there is LPI, PAPA, leading pedestrian interval. And what that is after an intersection is stopped, before any green lights come on, there's between 3 and 7 seconds where pedestrians are given the go cross sign, so that they have time to get into the intersection, establish themselves crossing before any vehicle movement happens, and in order to protect or to, increase safety for pedestrians. So in early 2023, the commission asked ACHG staff to start implementing LPI through, I believe the request was all signalized intersections in the county. And so there was staff dedicated to that. That started to happen. I think the intent was that this seems something that can be done fairly quickly and fairly cheaply and without dedicating a massive amount of man hours. As that process went on, I think the kind of realization came to be that implementing this at every single intersection maybe wasn't totally feasible. So now the LPI, it's been implemented at quite a few intersections, and there's a map that I can send that shows where it's currently active. But in moving forward now, instead of just having this blanket approach where every single intersection is eventually going to be transitioned to LPI, it'll be kind of done as needed. If there's a project already in the area, then that can be added on, like I said, if the need is there, if the warrant is there. Now, the LTI, that's the leading through interval, and that was first attempted in, or not first attempted, but that was
Mr.
first.
Chairman, can I ask a question before we move on to
Please.
part 2? So you said we'll implement LPI if warranted or needed. So what is that warrant or need? How is that determined?
It's determined by project. I'm not exactly sure what the exact criteria is. I don't know if it's just looked at with every single new project. I'm not sure if it comes from a request. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. That was the information I was given, is that the blanket approach is no more for the LPI, and now it's being looked at on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a follow-up as well. So you said this was implemented or started to be implemented in 2023. So, a couple of years now. What changes do we see? So, is there any change in pedestrian crashes? Is that being tracked or measured? Or is it make no difference? What do we see?
Yeah, Commissioner Lancaster, I would have to chat with traffic to see what the data is on that. I know typically there's, from some of the information I've seen on it in other locations where it's been implemented, there's, I think maybe 13% is the number I saw, decrease in vehicle versus pedestrian accidents. Now, if that's reflected here in Ada County since it's been implemented, that I can't say for sure. I'd have to chat with our traffic group and see what data they've collected and what exactly that looks like.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm interested in is, what does it show here?
Mhm.
I read lots of studies and that's great, but what's the experience here, right? So if that's something we could track down, I'd be interested in that.
Okay, go ahead.
So Mr. Chair, Commissioners, LTI, leading through interval, is a slightly different version of the same thing. And so what that is, that takes place at intersections where there are dedicated right-hand turn lanes. And so the way that functions is the pedestrians are given the cross sign and the through lanes in a certain direction go green at the same time so that there can be traffic flow for the through lanes. And then following a period of, 3 to 7 seconds, then the dedicated right-hand turn lane will be given a blinking yellow for a yield and then proceed if clear for that movement. So again, it serves the same purpose to give pedestrians time to establish themselves in the intersection and crossing before the turning traffic moves. But again, this is a way to help increase the flow of the through lanes instead of just keeping the entire intersection at red during that pause. If that makes sense.
And that is what this undated memo was saying you were going to try.
Correct.
As a pilot at Ustick and Meridian.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Then I saw something that said, well, I just asked you, how's the pilot? What happened? What did they do? And the answer was,
They
they're
are
not doing it.
no.
They
so
did the pilot.
Yes, that's correct. And so I think when we originally talked, there was some confusion on what exactly was being done. So the LPI program that had the pilot intersection at Ustick Meridian Road, that program there, our traffic ops group is putting together a list of more intersections to implement that in. So that list isn't complete yet. It's not official, but the pilot worked well enough that that's going to be implemented at more intersections.
LTI.
Correct.
So the pilot apparently was successful enough. They're going to move it to other intersections in some,
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair.
in some timing,
Correct.
so to speak. Gentlemen, questions?
Yes,
Mr. Leclerc?
Chairman. So,
You're-
Mr. Chairman, is that better? Okay. Kelly, so no, I don't remember. Let's see, so if we have this delay, my question was, is this triggered by someone pressing the crossing button, a pedestrian interacting with the crossing button? Or is this on every light change at one of these intersections? Is there, in other words, if there is no pedestrians, does this not engage? Does this, I mean,
You,
you're
me
not protecting
interrupting
anybody.
with an answer that I'm not qualified to give, you've got to have a walk, don't walk sign in order for this to work.
That's correct. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, so my question is, if there's no pedestrian requests made, does this not delay traffic?
Mr. Leclerc, I am not sure. I would have to check with our traffic group on that.
So that's another question. I mean, it would be, I think that would be reasonable to, if there's no pedestrian trying to cross, why slow down traffic in the right turn lanes? So that's a question.
Mr. McClure?
Mr. Chair, I know, and this has been some time, but when ACHD was talking about this program, I do recall that part of it, and it would need to be pedestrian actuated. So you would have to activate the signal to get the 3 to 5 to 7 second head start, if you will. It's not just by default. The pedestrian does have to actually call the signal to get that time. At least that's how it was proposed back
In the
a year and a
plan.
half, 2 years ago when they talked about this. So
Makes more sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Lewis, Mr. Smith, y'all are mighty quiet out there. If you're still with us, I see you're either you're running a tape and, okay, no, there's somebody made a different movement. We're good. Okay. All right,
All
next
good.
item. We're up to Mr. Hood for item 6, a 2027-2031 5-year plan unofficial kickoff and schedule overview. That is a mouthful. Mr. McClure.
oh, it's Mr. Hood again. Sorry, Mr. Chair. You're stuck
I'm
with me.
sorry.
So yeah, Brian and I actually had a meeting with ACHD staff here 2-3 weeks ago. This is typically around that time is when we'd get a letter from ACHD announcing the kickoff to the next round of the 5-year plan. And so we had that conversation actually just this afternoon. Got an email from Edinson Bautista at ACHD, who is taking the lead on that process. Christy Unselman is no longer with ACHD, so he's leading it up and basically said, hey, we're kicking it off. So the timing was good. So I just handed out this calendar for this year. So as you can see, today's date is when the kickoff notice was sent to partner agencies, including the city of Meridian. So one of the things we wanted to talk about when we set this agenda was that timing. It's pretty crunched, right? Here we are on January 5, and they want our list of priorities back on March 18th. So that's 2.5 months roughly to get a list. And as you all are aware, we have one newer commissioner, but we have to vet whatever list you all come up with through the city council too. So that's to be fully baked and to ACHD by the 18th of March. And your next meeting is at February 2. So that's not a whole lot of time. So one of the reasons I want to put this on the agenda is the members of the subcommittee. I would like them to talk about and maybe even nail down a date to meet and kind of do the what do we need to change, what's changed year over, and make somewhat of a informal or a formal recommendation, whatever that group wants to do, to the full Transportation Commission on the 2nd. What we'll also have on the 2nd.
On the 2nd of
February.
February, okay.
So sometime mid to late January, they're going to have to meet so that they can have something prepared for the 2nd. If y'all want to meet. If not, then that's probably fine. We can probably just do it as a bigger commission, but that's how that subcommittee was set up, is to sort of get into the meat of these things and do the arm wrestling and then make that recommendation to the bigger commission. Also on the 2nd, what I'm planning to do is invite Ensign or Rebecca Phillips, also on that team, to come and explain this again, especially for some that are newer or just what's changed year over. Here's how it works at ACHD. Here's what factors in. Here's how we make, the 5-year work plan go, and kind of walk through the schedule a little bit more. So you can see that the third line on the handout of calendar, partner agency, ACHD staff one-on-one meetings. That won't be one-on-one. We'll ask one from ACHD to come here and present to the commission on the 2nd, if everyone's agreeable to that. Brian and I already had kind of our one-on-one with them, again, a few weeks ago. But I think it'd be good for you all to have access to ACHD staff and ask them any questions and hear from them on this process.
To interrupt, Mr. Smith, are you still chair of that subcommittee?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am.
And your members are?
Man, I am struggling. I believe that is Mr. Lewis,
Mr. Lewis
Mr. Hopkins, and Mr.
says he is.
Lancaster. And I think Mr. Shoemaker might be on that as well.
Shoemaker, Lewis, Lancaster, Smith, and Lewis. Right, that it?
We can only have a maximum of 4. We can't have a quorum, so
How many we got?
Lewis, Hopkins, Smith.
On my ordinance.
So it might not be Zach. So I think it'd be myself, Lewis, Hopkins, Lancaster.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Does that
as
sound
well.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Smith, Lewis, Lancaster, and Hopkins. Okay, that's all 4. Are they good? They're legal.
Yep, and we will need to, I don't know how we want to do this. I can't remember what we've done in the past, but maybe just some open mic time if the chair is okay with that, and look at calendars here sometime before we leave, so we know a date when works best for you 4 to get together, and then I can help facilitate that. Get you packets that include last year's list of priorities, any new information we have here over, to get you set up and a room reserved or time reserved so you all can discuss any draft changes to that list of priorities. What really hasn't changed is we're still looking at 2 lists through that process. Roadways and intersections are one. And then previously it was called community programs, which has largely been sidewalks and intersection crossings and those types of things. They're now called safety and compliance. So that's the name of the new list, which is largely, I think, going to be the same types of projects. But safety and compliance will be the title of our what was previously community programs list. So those 2 lists we'll need to send to ACHD. Again, prior to the 18th, we got to back into that. So I'm really hopeful that on the 2nd, we can make a recommendation. If not, we may need a special meeting. I don't know that it's enough time to do March with the Transportation Commission, and still the council likes to talk about this once or two meetings too, and I run out of time. So if we, hit you guys the first part of March even, they like to stew on it. So I'm going to put you guys on the pressure and say, hey, can you do this in one meeting? Because I can't really pressure the council into saying, hey, I need something out of you in one meeting. So anyways, just something to a goal anyways, is to see if we can get through it on the 2nd. I'll also just say what you won't have access to largely, the public involvement piece of this will just be kicking off. It'll only have been open for about a week by the time you all meet in February. So that I think it's on your schedule there, is from the 22nd of January through the 19th. So we'll share any information we have from the public with you, but you're going to be a little bit, not having all the information to make an informed recommendation to council, because you're still going to get people that are going to comment on this for 2+ weeks after you all make your recommendations. One other thing, when we met with ACHD staff, really a lot of that information that we asked for last year, ACHD isn't quite prepared to share really any new information they have. And Brian, you can correct me if I don't paraphrase this conversation correctly, but essentially they're building a new model that houses all of this information, and it isn't built yet, so they can't share it with us yet. But they did all but promise us that next year we'll be able to have all this data so we can look and see what moves the needle on some of these projects. Hey, is this score well because of safety or congestion or whatever? But they just aren't there yet with again, I took it as a new software upgrade for their scoring of projects or the prioritization process. So it's unfortunate, but there's not going to be a whole lot of information or data this year. So yeah, I'll let you guys factor in whatever you want as we move projects up and down or leave them the same. But there's not going to be a whole lot of data to share that's going to be new.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
As the chair, let's do it this way. Would you look at a couple of dates between now and the February meeting that, well, look at more than that, but try to see if you can't get a date early enough or close enough to now that if you can't get a consensus at that meeting, you'll have time for a second meeting behind it before the February 7 meeting. And work that out directly yourself offline with your committee members.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to send out an email and then just to name it for Caleb's benefit. I'm thinking the week of the 19th, for me at least, is pretty wide open. I'm anticipating maybe if we can do the same time as this meeting 2 weeks from now on that Monday might be beneficial, but I'll send out an email to the rest of the.
That's a holiday.
Nope.
Mm.
Well, then
It's a
the
holiday
rest of
for
the week
most.
maybe, but yeah, we'll figure that out offline, but make that work.
Okay, you're going to work it out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Mr.
I might also
Chair.
suggest that the group, not trying to get anybody fired or anything, but at your meeting, have group consensus that you will continue as chair. I think you've been it for 2 years.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Said somebody that's chaired this thing longer than he can remember. But it's great if you are, but just I'd raise the question and let them say, sure, keep on. All right?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. You do.
Um,
And I can even see you and your hand.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In the past ACHD, when we are deliberating a project priority, they've given us an updated a level of service map and with the latest information. Is that going to be available to us again?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lewis, I will ask and have that for the week of the 19th or whenever that group meets.
Yeah.
If it's
Thank you.
available, if it's available, he will have it. And then, Mr. Smith, you will of course work out with Mr. Hood a exact time and a location to hold your meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
We can see what rooms are available. Okay, anything else on that, folks? Exciting stuff. Ex officio updates. Mr. Bruner, anything else, sir?
Mr. Chair, really the only big news from the last month was what Mr. Hood covered here with the approval of the updated impact fee ordinance. I do want to mention that there is a public open house at the new headquarters building on Wednesday of this week, the 7th, from 12:30 to 2:30. So if any of you want to see the new building, you are more than welcome to come check it out. That's all I have.
I've seen it from the outside. I have not been in it, but I'm looking forward to it.
What's the date again?
Date?
The 7th, that's this Wednesday, from 12:30 to 2:30. Sorry, Wednesday, the 7th. That's this Wednesday from 12:30 to 2:30.
12:30 to 2:30. Good, okay.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Miller, welcome. What do you have for us?
Why, thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, just a brief little update from the Compass side of things here. I'll go through the projects that are still sort of in the works real briefly, as I've briefed you on a few of them before, but we're working on a resilience improvement plan. The goal of that project is to come up with a regional plan looking at capital investments that could be made that would help improve the overall resiliency of our transportation system. So focusing on just transportation related capital projects. We also have a regional waterway pathway plan that is in the works, looking specifically at how to navigate building and making sure we have pathway connectivity around some of our canals and irrigation areas, as there tends to be a little bit more stakeholder engagement in those type projects. Some irrigation districts are open to collaboration, others are not for various reasons. So trying to better understand where the opportunities are and what concerns maybe we can try to collaborate to overcome. Both those projects have an anticipated completion for this spring. We do also have a safe pedestrian intersection prioritization for enhanced road safety. That is quite the name of a project. That project is just kicking off. The purpose is to develop a deployment plan for LPI, those leading pedestrian intervals, and accessible pedestrian signals and other really low cost, more systemic, widespread improvements at some of our signalized intersections in an effort to improve the safety for our vulnerable transportation users. And then two big things that I'm pretty excited to share with the commission is at our board meeting in December, the Compass Board approved the carbon reduction strategy. So this project identified and helped prioritize strategies for reducing transportation-related carbon emissions and really giving us a way to compare projects from that sort of air pollution lens and putting some numbers to it. So that one just wrapped up. Really appreciate it. I believe Carl was the Meridian staffer helping us out on that project. And then another project that I know Brian and Caleb have heard a lot about from me recently, and we'll hear a little bit more about later this month, our high capacity transit planning and environmental linkages study. We provided I believe it was over 2,700 page document to FTA in November, and just got word back a few weeks ago that we have received our final concurrence point from the federal side. So we are all good to go. Real thankful to City of Meridian staff and their help along this process. So now that we have federal concurrence, I am preparing a memo and a resolution that I'll bring to the Compass Board of Directors at their February meeting to formally adopt that moving forward. So that has been a multi-year long process, and we received that really good news recently. So wanted to share that with this group as well. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll stay seated for any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Compass?
Thank you.
A lot of collaborating in there.
Yes, as always.
What it's all about.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Bell.
let me ask Mr. Miller, maybe this is outside of the scope of Compass, but you did not touch on your freight advisory group.
Yeah, I'm glad to share with the group.
I
It's
think that's kind of intriguing. So if you'll expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ballard, thank you so much for your attendance. The Freight Advisory Work Group is one of our work groups that we do have at Compass. We had a meeting in February, or oh goodness, sorry, December, a little bit earlier in the month. That was actually a collaboration with the Boise Valley Economic Partnership as well. So a real, again, to your collaboration point, we had presentations from Abby Peterson at ITD to discuss a truck parking analysis that the state has done and sort of share not only what they've seen at a state level, but dive in a little bit of detail to what those truck parking needs are that we're seeing on some of the state highways in our area specifically, being near a state border that does have impacts on some of the numbers that they were seeing, as trucks will need a place to park here on our side of the state line as they sort of get prepared for the next and potential last leg of their journey. Us as Compass staff also had an agenda item that we shared with the group looking at data that we've compiled regarding rail crossings. So we're looking at how many trains, what are the average speeds of trains, then also the who's crossing it. So looking at the vehicle traffic counts. And it's one thing, we don't have a formalized prioritization process yet, but it is something that we're looking at Compass, is looking at all of these rail crossings that we have to ensure look at how we can prioritize them from both a safety standpoint and an efficiency standpoint for if you have a train going through, what's the best way that we can have the least disruption to the vehicular traffic as well as the ped and bikes who may need to cross at those locations. So shared some of that information with the group, trying to get their feedback on what are the big items of importance to them that we should be considering as we work to build a prioritization list that we can include in our regional long-range plan and hopefully strengthen some of our competitive grant efforts if someone were to be interested in going for a rail crossing elimination grant or something like that, be able to substantiate it with numbers and community support behind it.
Very good. So the import of that is where do trucks park at the end of their 11 hours? Because currently the systems are monitored electronically. And when you're checked electronically, there is no fudging. And trucks spend,
You used to drive a truck, didn't you?
yes, and I drove with paper logs.
Was it before electronic?
Paper logs. Now, but they've measured how much time a truck driver will spend so they're allowed 11 hours driving, 14 hours on duty. Okay. They spend an inordinate amount of time trying to find a place to park and not exceed their hours. So if you think about just here in downtown, there's a couple places that the truck drivers have figured out, okay, they can park along the railroad and a few other places, but it becomes a real challenge to park the truck so you can take your time off and start the next day. So I appreciate Mr. Miller's comments, but that's the context that I see this in. And it is a big deal because a lot of parking areas have been eliminated over the last 10 years, but yet we still expect those trucks to find some place to park. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right. Ms. Carson, what's new in the bus world?
We have moved, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, we had Meridian Middle School that we approached the city and ACHD about putting some no parking signs out on Camellia to do bus pickup there. We've since moved bus pickup back onto the campus and rearranged that for a little bit better flow. And now ACHD is asking if we can remove those no parking signs so that they can explore doing some bike lane improvements. So we're in support of that. And then we also have a project with ACHD right now. We're working on getting some streetlight flashers at the high school. The flashers are already there, but we're just working on updating the timing so that they're active during the peak on and off campus lunch times. So it wouldn't stay on the entire duration of students' lunch. It would just be on when students are leaving for lunch and then come back on when students are returning from lunch.
So at the middle school, you're not using the public street on the south side of the building for bus pickup and,
That is correct.
okay. Mr. Hood, did I see you look like you had a comment on one of those? Okay, all right. Oh,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
you may, sir. Mr. Lancaster.
So Miranda also brought up one that touches on the staff communications. So Mr. Chairman, if I understand it correctly from what Miranda said and what the email said, is that the school district has asked ACHD to turn on the school zones for 2 periods of time during the lunch period. Is that correct, Mr. Chair and Miranda?
That is correct.
So a follow-up, Mr. Chair. So it wouldn't be for the entirety of the lunch period, but how long is that anticipated to be?
It's right now, hang on, let me find my sticky. It's anticipated to be about 15 minutes when lunch begins. And then again, about 15 minutes when lunch is over and students are returning to campus. So the time will vary. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is one lunchtime. And then on Wednesday, there's a different lunchtime. So it's 2 15-minute intervals a day.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, to follow up again, so if I understand right, then, so there'll be a period, so this is at the high schools in West Ada School District.
Correct.
There will be a school zone period in the morning, 2 at lunch, that vary depending on the day, and last 15 minutes long only, and then 1 in the afternoon.
Correct.
And this is for high schools where school zones generally aren't recommended anyway.
Because we do have a lot of students that travel off campus for lunch in Idaho. So when you say they're not generally recommended, I don't know if that's an Idaho standard or if that's a,
It's a national recommendation that school zones should be used for elementary school and middle schools and not for high schools or colleges.
They missed some education during COVID. They got to catch up. Excuse me.
So.
yeah, I'd be interested in why that recommendation, how old that recommendation is, and if it includes campuses that have parking, if it includes campuses that have off-campus lunches and things like that. But
Yeah, well, Mr. Chairman, I guess I ask, when is the implementation schedule on this? You know, I think this is an appropriate topic for this commission. You know, this affects Meridian at large, not just the schools or ACHD. So if we can, I think we should insert ourselves in this conversation, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen, opinion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd be curious, Miranda, how long is the lunch break for a high school
Most days it's just over an hour. And then on Wednesdays, it's about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think we should take it up and look at it.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll ask the question that Mr. Lancaster didn't ask. What is the data that drives this decision to put these zones in during the middle of the day?
You mean
Well,
from West Ada's standpoint, not the national recommendation
well,
on school zone?
yeah, I mean, what is the problem driving this solution? Now, I'm not going to argue safety. That's not the point. But is there some data that says we have to have these zones in place during the lunch hour to increase the safety of the students?
So we don't have any at the district level, any studies or data regarding the speeding that's occurring, but we do know that there is speeding occurring at every campus when students leave. I would invite any of you to go watch high school students leave their campus, regardless of the time of day. They don't do it in an orderly fashion or at a safe speed. And we do have students at every campus that walk off campus for lunch as well. And so we're seeing more of those speeding behaviors in recent years, which is why we've pushed for those speed zones at the high schools. I believe all but possibly one of our high schools has speed zones at this point, whereas, 10 years ago, I think we had one high school that had a speed zone.
So, Ms. Carson, I'll ask another question. You say you see increase of speeds. Who are the drivers increasing their speeds going through the school zones?
High school students.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is bringing up more questions than it is answers, to be honest, because,
You still want to get into it?
yeah. So I do think we should make this a topic. And I'll stop there.
Mr. McClure, can we do that for next month? Reach out to whoever you need to figure out how to write it up.
Mr. Chairman, we can invite participants and I'll see if we can get information.
Okay. And Mr. Lancaster, would you answer, I think, Ms. Carson's first question, the when and the what behind the national recommendation you mentioned when you first started? And I don't expect you to give it to me right now. I know you have a way to find that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I could bring the book.
That'd be fine. Just make sure it's got a copyright in it.
This century?
Yeah, this century, yeah,
No, I'm not saying it's old. I'm just wanting to know
yeah.
if it's really, really old or really, really young or what.
Yeah, so I guess, Mr. Chair, if I can help direct what I'm looking for. One, I'd be interested in what's ACHD's current policy on school zones, on their placement, on their use. That would be one topic. Second topic that Mr. Ballard asked well is, what's the need driving the request? What's the problem we're trying to solve? And that could come from Miranda or ACHD, I suppose. But, I think those are the topics that I think are relevant to this. And I guess, 3 goes along with those is how does the action solve the problem, right? Or is it just an action? So.
Well, excuse me, can I jump in?
You may, sir.
So I'm assuming, Sergeant, that that's going to be a law enforcement issue as well, to have someone posted monitoring these cars going through the school zones? Because it all comes back to having you and your fellow officers out there observing these speedsters.
Sergeant, comments?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chair, coming from, I was just a SRO sergeant, so I dealt with all the schools. All of our high schools are very unique in where they're situated and the roads they're on, which makes for our traffic, our My Now traffic team, makes it more of a challenge for them, along with the SROs that work at the school. They would also work traffic enforcement as well, since it is their school. And it does make it a challenge. Most students that would leave Rocky are leaving in cars. Very dangerous to get
I
out onto.
disconnected while I was talking. I apologize. I don't know what you heard.
Very, very dangerous to get out on the main roads there from Rocky, like Meridian High, not so as much, but we have a lot of students walking down, leaving campus. And we tried to focus on that too, to have them not leave campus as much, because they did nothing but get in trouble as they left the campus. So a lot of issues, but yes, you would be correct. I'm scribbling down notes here, things that I want to remember this week. And one thing would be to see if we can get our motors out working some of these issues at the school as well. So
Lancaster, we need him in this conversation.
I agree, Mr. Ballard, yes.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Mr. Hood, enough notes to make something out of this?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I will just say, so we're still in the ex officio update stuff, but there is, I think it's been talked about, alluded to a little bit, but page 25 does have some of that background information. I just want to, I think it is within the purview of this commission to insert yourself into this. Just a couple of things as I'm reading this, because I was only copied on it. I wasn't part of the conversation. Just FYI, here you go. This is happening type of thing. So the people that are here are, you got the mayor, obviously, and his chief of staff. And by the way, I got a note on that real quick. The chief of police, and then ACHD, right? So, and it says within the body of that, they anticipate implementation to begin after the holiday break. Well, that's tomorrow. So I don't know if they're going to start this tomorrow or not. So just expectations, and we want to talk about it. We'll do a staff, we can shoot things up the flagpole or whatever comes about from February when you talk about this, but you may see something live on the street before you actually get to talk about it with any of the things you've requested. So just wanted to let you know some things are in motion already.
You missed the bus, Mr. Lancaster.
Well, you mentioned a group of
We didn't even.
people that we just love to insert ourselves into until we're told not to. Good enough?
As good as we can do, Mr. Chairman, like Commissioner Ballard says, I mean, we didn't even know there was a bus, right? No pun intended.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think even though the program has started, we could still say something about it. We could
Look at it, talk about it, and
authorize a
say something
letter,
about it.
or we could pass a resolution or do something that we give to the city council. And I mean, we want to be a part of this, and it sounds like it was just a handshake between West Ada and this and ACHD. So there's more to it than that. It's good for us to look at it. Thanks.
So I will say, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
so I will say we did do a little bit more than a handshake. We worked with ACHD. The initial request that was floated out there was for the duration of the lunch period. It was a long window. So I reached out to ACHD and proposed that we actually shorten the window from what the initial request was and do two windows where students are coming and students are going. We talked to high schools about when kids are coming and going, which high schools are having issues, so that we could really refine the times, even down to there's a different lunch period on Wednesday. Let's have a different time on Wednesday. So really trying to refine the times that students are coming and going, so that it's something that works for the community, that it's not so long that the community ignores it, but that it's also an effective amount of time so that students can get on and off campus without having pedestrian students can get on and off without having to compete for space with their peers that are in cars and speeding.
Mr. Hood, in staff communications on this topic, we don't seem to have the initial email from Dr. Bub to somebody. We have Kendall Nagy responding to Dr. Bub about the request you forwarded to the mayor. And I'm just full of things I don't like about some of this. When reading, going backwards through the emails, trying to find the beginning, I don't find
Well,
it.
Mr. Chair, that's because we didn't receive it.
Can we get it?
Oh, I don't have it.
Can we get it?
If you want to do a public records request, I don't have it.
To the-
So
to the
I'm
mayor's
not a
office?
party to it.
To the mayor's office?
I don't know. I don't even know who it was from or to. All I'm copied on is this one, hello, Dr. Bub.
And
Right?
you ask Kendall Nagy, do they have it?
She must, right? After receiving the request you forwarded to the mayor.
Can we
It
get
was
it?
a request forwarded to the mayor.
Can we get it from her?
Sure. Maybe. I don't know.
I'll be happy to walk upstairs after the meeting if that'll help.
Yeah, we can even invite her to come to this meeting potentially. I mean,
I'm not,
if that'll
I'm
help.
not trying to get after anybody for not having it. I just want to see what started this. We all,
Yeah.
like you said, it may already have been put into effect today. We understand we're dropping into the middle of it. But if we can step back a few days and find the beginning of it, it might help us figure out what a great idea it is.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, what I can do is, what's the problem today or what problem are we trying to solve? I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
what we'll try to have for the next meeting is some of the background information on why this, I mean, Ms. Carson just sort of outlined it, but I'll see what issues or near misses or what are the things that are happening at the various high schools so we'll see what we can find.
Okay, anything else on that one? Kate Dahl with Valley Regional Transit, are you still with us? I didn't quite understand what you told me about Justin Price, but has he got anything for us?
So, Mr. Chair, well, Brian's seeing if he wants to be promoted. So you can be an attendee and a panelist. And if you're just an attendee, you can track it, but you can't talk without being promoted to a panelist.
He's always been available
I know.
up until
So
last
I don't know if
month.
he just accidentally declined the invite to be promoted to a panelist or what. Because you,
Check, would y'all,
oh, he raised his
would y'all
hand.
before the next meeting, check with him and see if he's going to be available if he's been available every month and since until last month.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it says iPhone 6. I don't know if that's Justin or not, but he just raised his hand, so I believe Justin's available now. Although he's still muted, if you can hear me, Justin.
Sergeant Carter, anything else, sir, besides school zones, flashing lights, or unless maybe even more on those?
Commissioners, Mr. Chair, no, what I will talk about, I mean, I'm still a couple weeks into my new position, so I'm getting my feet wet. But what I've asked for is, I know back in June, we have our 4 motor officers. I know one of the chief complaints in Meridian is speeding. So we took our 4 motor officers and put them to directed patrols, which is focusing only on speeding. You're probably aware of all this. So I wanted to see going back to 22, anything before that would probably be COVID skewed. And just give us an idea from June to January 1, how many tickets, but also have we seen a decrease in crashes? And I know the weather and some other things can affect that, but I'm hoping to get those stats. Maybe I can present those next.
Okay, great. I think I know that traffic enforcement is an inexact science. You do your best with what you got to deal with.
Always.
A speeding car going the other direction from you and you're boxed in on 4 sides doesn't mean you can catch him. So, or necessarily should want to. But yeah, anything you can get for us on that, we would appreciate it. I do see your people out and about, and personally, fortunately not up close and personal. But yeah, anything you can get for us would be very, very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the
Yes, sir,
sergeant.
please.
It's something I've really noticed a lot of, which I probably didn't, but this winter, electric scooters, electric bikes, and small kids on them, dodging in and out of traffic, riding on roads, riding on sidewalks, coming between cars. Are you guys getting people's complaints on that?
Sir, Commissioner, we do get complaints on that. I do feel like it has died off. Maybe it's weather related. Maybe the newness is gone, worn off a little bit, maybe. But we do get complaints. We do stop and educate kids, parents, and whatnot, primarily on the safety aspect of it.
May I comment?
Yes, sir.
So Sergeant, no pun intended, die off. On my legal updates, there's a lot of data being collected about just how unsafe these scooters are and electric bikes. They don't function like a motorcycle. They don't function like a regular bike, and there's speeds in between. And you have riders that the bicycle experience does not teach you how to ride one of these electric bikes or scooters. So in any event, the data's coming out. It's great for plaintiffs' attorneys on personal injury cases. I hate to put it that way, but we've introduced another unsafe practice in our traffic.
I would agree.
Okay, and just have to work with it. And I wish you the best out there. I have law enforcement in my family.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just before we move to the next one, I would just offer to Sergeant Carter that if you have anything that you want the commission to look at before you present it to them next month, send it to Brian or myself and we can put it in the packet. So if you think there's anything you maybe want them to see so they can come with some questions or whatnot, if you want.
Sure.
Or if there's any information you ever want to share as part of the packet, just send it to us and we'll have it. That way they get it, a few days at least in advance.
Appreciate it.
Before the Monday before the meeting. The Monday before the meeting is when the mayor, staff, and myself meet to talk about the agenda and to set it so they can get it out in time. So if we have it to talk about at the meeting with the mayor, it'd be a great help.
I'll say, Mr. Chair, just to piggyback on that, yes, that Monday is great. We actually don't usually print the packet though until Wednesday.
Right, I know.
But if you know there's a topic that you want to have, certainly by that Monday and any date is great. I can actually go until Wednesday though if you need it, so.
To get packet material.
Thank you.
Ms. Murray, anything from legal?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for sticking with us. Appreciate it. Okay, next item is staff communications. Gentlemen, anything you wish to say about any of that?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to add, but I'm happy to defer any questions to others.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, so I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about stop signs on routes parallel to USTIC. We already pretty well talked about high school zones, at least for this month. So I have some questions about stop signs along Chateau.
Okay,
If I can start. So
I think we've been through there before.
yeah, well, we touched on it and said we were going to circle back to it. So this is another one where we don't see what came before this email. This one's from ACHD Director Ryan Head. Page 26.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I have a lot of questions here. And this may be another topic for a future meeting, hopefully soon, if we can't answer them here. But I take it from this email. Well, so let me back up. So I've noticed this practice, not on Chateau, but I noticed it on what's an east-west between Ustick and McMillan, Bridge Tower Bridge Tower. So I noticed it through there while my new driver son was cutting through the neighborhood because he missed his turn. So that's what brought my attention to this. And I actually wanted to bring this up at this meeting as a future topic. And here it was in our packet as a staff communication. So both by observation and by this correspondence, I guess my first question is, well, my observation is this appears to be a new practice by ACHD. And is that the case?
Mr. Bruner.
As long as I've been with the Capital Projects Department, Commissioner Lancaster, this is something that I've seen been happening, but I've also only been a part of that department for about a year and a half. So I can't speak on to what this practice was prior to when I got there, but this is something that I've seen throughout my time with the Capital Projects Department.
Okay, so that's one question. If I can keep going, Mr. Chair.
Please do.
So the next question is why? So I think you mentioned earlier, Mr. Bruner, that it was done for speed control. Did I hear that correctly? Is that the reason? I guess also, before, I'll give you a minute to think, but also here in the email, it says, in neighborhoods impacted by major construction along routes where we believe there may be unintentional detouring. And then later it says, trying to prevent your streets from becoming cut-through route. And then I think you mentioned that it was also for speed control. So I guess tell me the why. Why is this now an ACHD practice?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lancaster, I'm not sure if it was me that mentioned it was for speed control. I'm not sure who said that. I don't believe it was me. However, I believe that from what I understand, the purpose of this is to try and a lot of times with these closures, there are predetermined detour routes. Those themselves get fairly backed up. And so people start cutting through other adjacent neighborhood roads. And so the point of the stop signs is to discourage people to create their own cut throughs and to stay on the pre-designated detour routes.
And so so I guess what I'm hearing is you're going to make some otherwise desirable routes worse so that people will want to take the worse routes. So everything's worse. Is that the idea?
I don't know if I'd put it quite that way, Commissioner Lancaster, but yeah, we're trying. I think a lot of this stems from citizen complaints. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of this comes from, a lot of times when there's a detour route, it's still, a detour route's tried to be put to an adjacent collector or an adjacent arterial. What happens is people start cutting through residential roads, and that's what we're trying to negate.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I can give some historical perspective from my end. So it's definitely not new. They've been doing it. They, for example, did it with Eagle Road previous to this. I think Keil mentioned that earlier. Historically, ACHD, when I've reviewed capital plans, they have like a couple of sheets towards the back of the construction document that show, what they're doing on arterial roadways, maybe collector roadways, and then they leave a lot of the rest of the stuff up to the contractor. ACHD does get inundated with complaints from neighborhoods when they close off a section of mile road and people start trying to get through other means. And this has appeared to be a more proactive effort to get ahead of some of the complaints with some traffic control. I don't know what the purpose of, whether it's speeding or just, I don't know what the purpose is other than to just show the residents that they are being receptive to recurring issues that they always hear when they do work and close a section of mile road. It is newer, but I don't think it's new because they did do it for Eagle Road as well. They did a robust, looked at every single intersection and planned it out rather than sort of being responsive to it after the fact.
If I'm not mistaken, the bid documents for a project require the bidder to submit a transportation plan along with who, what, when, where, and how, sign sizes, locations, all that. And ACHD would have to approve it, comment on it, modify it with the successful bidder. Is that kind of how it is?
Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct. So when a contractor is awarded a project, they have to submit traffic control plans to ACHG for review before they're granted a permit to begin the work.
But what you're talking about, Mr. Lancaster, are these other side streets that are having things done to try to impact what we used to lovingly call in Moscow gerbling. Great term. Probably not in the national whatever book you've got, but it's a great term.
First time I've ever seen them do that was the Eagle Road project. That was the first one that they put in speed humps and stop signs throughout the neighborhood. I think there's 8 intersections in my neighborhood.
Did you like it, dislike it, think it was good, think
Hate
it was
it. People
bad?
run them all the time because they don't think they have to stop because they don't think it's legal. So you get people, their next door is constantly taking pictures of cars running those stop signs, rolling them, and there's so many, they just ignore them.
Mr. Chairman, another question, and this is quickly leading to another topic for another meeting. Hopefully sooner.
It'll be a busy 2026.
It's going to be a busy February, it's looking, Mr. Chairman. But so to follow up on something that was said, so who is making the decisions of which of these intersections turn into 4-way stop controlled intersections? Is it ACHD or is it a contractor? Or do we know?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lancaster, as far as I know, these would be, I'm not sure if they're maybe coming straight from ACHD. I guess I don't know which direction it comes. I don't know if it comes from the contractor and they request approval from ACHD construction group, or if the construction group reaches out to the contractor and says, hey, throw some extra stop signs here. I guess I'm not sure, but those would be the parties involved. I just don't know which direction it goes.
Okay. Yeah. So I asked the question because if it's a contractor making these decisions, then that's illegal. Period. Those are engineering decisions that are being made by a different party.
My understanding from projects is that the contractors are required to submit a plan.
Yeah.
And presumably, they have it done by a traffic engineer. Whether it's signed off by one or not, I can't remember. But I think we're talking about 2 different things here, are you not?
Well,
one of them is that one.
Yeah.
And the second part of the same project is where ACHD deems things are needed on different streets in order to control the impacts of the first detour set.
Yeah.
How do you want to go about talking
Well,
about this in the future?
Yeah, I have one more comment on this to lead up to our talking about this more in the future, Mr. Chairman, but
Okay.
So the decision, intersection control decision is, ultimately an engineering decision. And when I look at, so you'll recall that my background is traffic engineering, right? So when I look at the manual on uniform traffic control devices, it says the decision to establish all-way stop control at unsignalized intersections like these should be based on an engineering study.
Should be, that's critical.
Should be, yes. And then there's 5 different things that should be studied: crash experience, sight distance, transition to signal control or transition to yield control at a circular intersection, 8-hour volume and other factors, and there's some specific other factors. So I guess I'd like to know, is this engineering study happening? Because there's another paragraph that says, always stop controls at intersections with substantially differing approach volumes can reduce the effectiveness of these devices for all roadway users, which is what Commissioner Hopkins was saying in his experience, that they're just ignored. So I would like to ask, for some more information about this from ACHD, specifically how this, why, how these decisions are being made and why.
Mr. Hood, can we get ask staff to have Mr. Lancaster formulate his questions in a way that y'all agree are correct enough to make sense, not saying they wouldn't be, and then see if we can't get Ron Head here next month
Mr. Chairman?
with, let me finish, please, with enough information gathered to attempt to answer them. I am suggesting in that comment that they be specific enough that they can be answered, not esoteric, but specific questions. I think there's going to be an element of timing in here because some of these things can't wait the year and a half it takes to do the things in your list. Or you would never do anything. But you know that.
May I ask my question?
No, he's fixing to answer mine.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the things that I mentioned just before your comment are pertinent and, answerable and whatnot.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
But if you wouldn't mind, formulate it in an email
I can
to
do that.
these gentlemen, let them agree with you, we understand, and see if they can get Ron Head to come and speak from the podium to them. Everybody okay with that?
So, Mr. Chair, and I know you got Commissioner Ballard, I think I'm generally okay with that. Just what I would propose is if Commissioner Lancaster wants to kind of summarize that email, we'll forward it on to ACHD staff and say, basically one of two options. If you want to just answer these and reply, that can work, or invite them to the February 2 or March meeting, kind of depending. Again, I'm a little concerned about February now because I just got done saying we need to get our priorities done. These other two things
we
are
can talk
important too.
about, we can talk about that. I agree.
But that's how I would couch it to them is here's some questions that came up. Can you either answer them or come and we can talk about it?
I think someone needs to be here because I can just already hear the response, yes, but.
And just to clarify, I probably won't ask the director to attend. It'll probably be someone from traffic. Ryan is now the director at ACHD, so I may copy him on it or something. I'll work with Kelly on that, but it's probably going to be someone in traffic that comes.
Unfortunately, he put his name on the email you gave us. Unfortunately, we didn't I didn't pick him out of the air. He's on.
No, I know he's on it. I'm just saying that, yes,
Okay.
just again, expectations. Don't expect the director to show up next month.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment on that.
May he make his comment before?
Well, I'll yield the floor to you.
There's a thread out there that people are now starting to say, keeping some of these. So there's people in neighborhoods that are now starting to argue amongst themselves about not pulling out the speed bumps.
The Bridge
The
Tower
improvements.
HOA is doing that, I understand.
Yeah, so that's gonna open a wider can of worms as we go forward. So I just wanted to make a comment on that.
Mr. Ballard, please.
So, couple of questions to clarify. Are we going down a rabbit hole that doesn't have a practical solution? Question being, the engineering, your manual. That's not law, but that's good science.
No, it is. Mr. Chairman, may I respond quickly? So the MUTCD does have the force and effect of law in all states.
Has it been adopted by ACHD?
It's been adopted by the state of Idaho for all agencies in Idaho.
Okay, that
Through
answers-
IDAPA 39.03.41.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I know the guy that wrote that rule, by the way.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that answers that question, that clarifies. It. So as far as saying someone engineered this, and I'm going to step out on a limb here for a minute. As I start my analysis, if a contractor who's done the bid says, this is my proposal, and it's submitted to ACHD, and ACHD approves it, I think someone like myself in a court of law would argue that that agency approved that plan. And so, yes, by a de facto process, it becomes an engineered study. I mean, they approved it. So that's how so what I'm trying to do is, okay, if we have this conversation, where do we go with it? Because what's the practical effect?
An engineer and the owner agency approved it.
I don't know that. But so,
Contractors aren't submitting.
No, but ACHD's engineer approved it.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but they're initiating it too.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say that a traffic engineer initiated the detour plan. I don't remember enough about them.
so I'm just trying to put some sideboards on this conversation, if you will, or saying, okay, if we have this conversation, what do we accomplish? You've answered that question. They put their approval on it. How do you challenge that approval? You have to have standing.
Maybe put that in your list of questions.
Yeah, well, Mr. Chairman, and I guess my response to that is there is a definition of what an engineering study is. And just approving something doesn't mean it's an engineering study. So, the question to be asked is, why is this an ACHD practice?
Okay, all right, all right.
That's ultimately the question.
I agree with your premise, Mr. Lancaster.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Lewis has had his hand up for a while.
Hello,
You're still
Mr.
out
Chairman.
there. You're still looking good.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Thank you very much. Hey, if I could just pile on to the comments that Commissioner Lancaster had. The unwarranted always stop is one thing, but there's also the question about speed control. The MUTCD specifically prohibits using yields and stop signs for speed control. It's a shall not condition. And in the MUTCD, you have shalls, shoulds, and mays, and shalls is the top of the hierarchy, or in this case, shall not, and that can't be changed even by an engineering study. So if it turns out that these are being used for speed control, that's a very serious matter.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I believe with that, we have finished the agenda. We have one or two of three more new future topics on our list, I think. Mr. McClure's been keeping up with those, I trust, because I haven't, or between the two of them. Mr. Ballard.
So a project that we discussed last meeting, and I still see a couple of news items on it. The outcome of the fence on the northwest corner of Locust Grove and Pine. There's been quite a conversation about that fence located at that intersection. Is that?
Anything new, gentlemen? No, the last thing I heard.
Mr. Ballard, are you looking for something in addition to what I put in the packet, or I can summarize that if you want? It's more or less, I've got, well, I haven't checked my email in a few days, but I have a contractor who has or will be providing me with a quote for some of those improvements, and that will be discussed with the mayor's office and.
All right,
city
so there's
council.
an update to come yet.
Yes, I don't have anything new other
Oh,
than
okay,
work is still being done.
Yeah, no, that helps me because it's still in the pipeline and,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I had just a couple of things, kind of not necessarily in staff communications, but there is a joint city council and ACHD commission meeting next Tuesday at 4:30 here in this room. So I'll give you I just saw the draft agenda today. They're going to review the 2026 project priorities from ACHD and some of the construction projects. I think ACHD will present that to the council. And then you all weren't involved in the conversation as much, but at council level, I think we've had some of the conversations when we come up with priorities, but we've got Locust Grove and Meridian are both north-south corridors that need to be improved. And the question arose mainly at council, which one should we do first? You know, they're both going to be 5 lanes eventually, but should we do a segment here and then a segment over there and a segment here? Or does it make sense to do one or the other first with an interchange? Does it make sense to do Meridian all the way up to Chinden? Or do we do Locust Grove up to Chinden? Where's which one should we invest in first to get the biggest bang for our buck? So they're going to be talking about that a little bit on next Tuesday as well. And then it wasn't on the draft agenda, but when we had our agenda setting meeting with the mayor last week, I know he was interested in potentially talking about East 3rd Street too, which this commission talked about last month. Didn't see it on the agenda. Don't know if that's going to be ripe for that conversation or not, but I know the mayor is trying to get that also on that agenda for next Tuesday.
I was trying to encourage the mayor to let us have it. I did not get a vote to do it. Or a comment, yeah, sure. But it's on my list of things to continue to bring up. I think it would be a great one for us to wrestle with for 3 or 4 months.
We did, just to call your attention, we did put it back on the future meeting topics as agenda item 13, just letting you know that it may be discussed between ACHD and City Council here in the near future. And then I had one other just note, and again, I kind of alluded to it. Some of you may have already picked up on it, but we have a new chief of staff up in the mayor's office, and the old chief of staff, David Miles, is now my new boss. He's the director of community development. So the mayor's previous chief of staff, Dave Miles, has moved downstairs. As of today, he is the new director for the community development department. So Kendall Nagy, who you saw, is coming over from the police department. She's been over there for several years now and is now upstairs on the 3rd floor as the mayor's chief of staff.
What was her position at the PD?
I don't remember her title necessarily. She did a lot with drug coalition stuff, or I can't think of what her title was though. But Sergeant, if you remember.
Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition.
Yeah.
So she was in charge of that.
So, Mr. Hood, I read that little note and I tried to research that. And one of the lines in the update said we have a new chief of staff,
Oh, did I put that in there?
parenthetical. So I got out there on the website and it hadn't been updated. So I appreciate that update.
Just happened.
Mhm.
There's more. Anything else from anyone? Okay, with that, motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Hopkins. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ballard. All in favor, please say aye.
Goodbye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you one. Thank you all. Thank you.